don't let it ruin your test. Okay, don't think about it. And the examiner looked at me and I was like, you know when you messed up so bad that you just want to end the test and go home. So that's it, guys. I hope you found this video. I hope you found this.
Get out of here. Get out of here, man. Shit, I'm saying.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Liz. I don't know if you can tell by the big smile on my face right now, but it's been a good week. Something good has happened, and if you are following me on Instagram and Facebook, you will know because I've recently just posted a picture of my practical test certificate. So I've just recently passed my practical driving test. So in this video, I'm going to share my experience of the test, and I'm going to give you some tips and some information. Bear in mind that due to the current circumstances, i.e. COVID-19, only key workers can apply for the practical driving test in the UK. And so if you are a key worker and you want to know more about the driving test, stay tuned. So my experience with driving has been bittersweet, if you want me to be really honest. I started when I was at uni, and I started taking some lessons here and there with an instructor. I didn't have my own car at the time, but I started from scratch because no one in my family actually drives, so I had to start everything from scratch. I took the theory test in I think that was 2017. I passed, and so I started to work towards my practical driving test. I had to take the test a few times because, to be honest with you, I wasn't a confident driver. It was until I got my new car that I started being more on the road. So I started driving a lot more with a friend on the road and become more confident. So the more you drive, the more confident you become. I always used to hesitate, and I've taken the test about 4 times. I always failed. The main reason why I failed all those times was hesitation, because I wasn't confident enough. So when I bought my car early this year, I started driving a lot more and started driving to and from work with a friend, obviously, that had his own full UK driving license. And then I became more confident. So it's all, I think for me it was all about confidence, to be honest. I was also learning with an instructor. And I had booked the test for the 5th of March 2020, and obviously it was cancelled because of the coronavirus, and it was postponed to June the 26th, so a good few months down the line. And I didn't want to wait really, because I had to take my theory once again because I waited too much and I let my theory expire. And I thought I was ready for the test, so I just really wanted to go for it. I didn't want to wait till June the 26th. And so I went on the website. Oh, actually at the time they sent me an email, the DVSA sent me an email, and they were like, oh, we had to postpone your test, and we'll get back to you with a new date. And then they got back to me with a date, which was June the 26th. And also they wrote on the email that if I was an emergency, if I was a key worker, I would have been able to apply for an emergency driving test. And they sent me the email address to reply to with all my details. So they wanted a few details of mine. I think it was the reference number of the driving test, my driving license number, and also they wanted either a work badge that proves that I am a key worker, or an email address from work. And so I emailed that email address with all my details, and I asked them to, if they could do something about my driving test. I really wanted an emergency driving test. And so after 3 weeks or so, they replied me, and they gave me a new date, which was 1 week away. And yeah, that was it really. So if you are a key worker in the UK, you are able to apply for an emergency driving test. I recommend emailing them early because it can take a few weeks for them to get back to you. But all of this information is on the Gov website, so make sure you have a look on there, and it's really easy to apply. Also, in my test center there wasn't anyone. I was the only one who was due to take her test on that day, so it was actually nice and chilled. So I'm going to give you a few tips, few things that I found helpful during my test. I know it's really nerve-wracking to take your driving test. In fact, the night before the test I didn't sleep at all. I was so nervous. I was like, you know what, I don't know how I'm gonna take this, if I'm gonna fail again. So I was up all night. But you really need to find a way to actually calm down, because it's not that bad on the day, I promise you. Even those past times that I did the test that I failed, it wasn't that bad. But it's just the, you know, the whole thought of having someone in the car with you examining how you're driving, you know, it can be nerve-wracking. So be confident. You know what, you've done your theory, you've passed your theory, you've been driving for a lot of time, you've done your hours of driving. Your driving is okay if your instructor thinks you're ready for the test. So be confident. You got nothing to lose, you know. You just have to make sure you're not hesitating a lot, because that's what that can fail you. If you're hesitating, especially at roundabout, you're gonna fail the test. So no one likes a hesitant driver. You're gonna hold people back if you're hesitating, so you just have to go for it and be confident. Try not to be nervous. I know this is really difficult to do, but try to calm down. I was really nervous before the test, but when I started driving, it was actually okay. My nerves disappeared, because I was like, I know how to drive, and so I'm just doing what I know how to do. So try not to be nervous about it. Try and relax, have a conversation with the examiner. I know they can be really scary, but you know, try to make them your friend, you know, on that day. If you're not sure of the instructions, just ask the examiner. There's a 4 in 5 chance that you're gonna get a sat nav on your test, and there's a 1 in 5 chance that you're gonna get the examiner directing you where to go. I didn't have a sat nav, so obviously when the instructor was directing me, if I wasn't sure, I was like, do I turn right, do I turn left, sorry, at the end of the road, where do I go? You just ask, you know, just ask. That you've got nothing to lose. If you're not sure, just ask. I was asking silly questions. I was like, is this traffic light for me or is it for the other people? And he was like, well, I can't tell you that. But he was really happy that I asked him when I wasn't sure. Try to ask if you're not sure, and that will avoid, you know, you going the wrong way and then becoming stressed. And then, because the way the driving test is, if you get something wrong and you know you got it wrong, it's gonna have a negative chain effect on your next, you know, your next maneuver, your next driving bit. So just try and be careful not to let things put you down, if that makes sense. So if you make a mistake, don't let it ruin your test. Okay, don't think about it. Drive as normal. Don't, you know, just put it away. You know, it's done, it's done. You can't go back. This is really funny actually, because on my 3rd test, I was asked at the beginning of the test to do a reverse into a bay maneuver, and at that time I didn't really practice that maneuver, so I was just really going for it, but I wasn't too confident with it, if that makes sense. And so what happened was I moved forward, but obviously because the car that I was using was a manual and the clutch was too high up, so the car was coasting when I was going forward. So it went forward really quick, and I thought I was gonna slam into the wall. I literally did on my 3rd test, but I didn't. For some reasons, I, you know, got myself together and I managed to brake on time. And then obviously when I was reversing back, because it wasn't a maneuver that I had practiced, I just didn't end up in between the lines, 1, and 2, I smashed the car into the back wall. So the car actually touched the wall, and the examiner looked at me and I was like, you know when you know you messed up so bad that you just want to end the test and go home. But then I was like, oh, sorry, I think I touched the wall a little bit. He was like, oh, don't worry, just, you know, are you done? And I was like, yes, I'm done, because at that point I was just like, I didn't really want to correct it, because I was like, there's no point for me to correct this if is already, you know, if it's already a fail. But I just knew it was a fail, but he let me drive for the whole of the test, and then we got back to the test center and he explained that yes, what I did at the beginning, that was a fail. So that was my third test. That happened on my third test. And it was so funny the way it happened, because I didn't let that put me down on my driving when the test was carrying on. But I knew at the back of my head that yes, it was a fail. And try to prove that you're a safe driver. All they want to know is whether you are safe on the road or not. So believe me, you don't have to be the best driver. I think I stalled a couple of times, but it's okay. You know, it's okay. So long as you are safe on the road, they don't care whether your driving is crap. So you have to do all your observations. And also, they like to tell you to pull up. I think I got told to pull up on the left about 3 times during my test. And make sure you know how to carry out all your observation before pulling up and before moving off as well. So they look at how you're doing your observations and whether you are considering whether it's safe to go and whether it's safe to pull up. So make sure you have a look at that. You know, if you're not sure of the routine, I would recommend looking at some videos on YouTube. And also, don't rush. Take your time, take it easy. Try and look at the speed limits on the roads, because that's a really easy one to fail on speed limits. I know you want to get it done, but try to take your time as well. So in a nutshell, if you haven't passed your driving test, yeah, there's plenty of chances to pass. Don't give up. I had a friend that messaged me and she was like, oh, I gave up a few years back. Please don't, because if I can do it, that my driving, I mean, I am safe now just because I've practiced so many times. And so I feel like driving is a skill. That's why you have unlimited chances at taking that test, because it's a skill and you're gonna have to learn that skill. And so I personally found that buying a car made it easier for me, because I got used to my own car, and it wasn't so nerve-wracking when I took the test, because it was like, this is my car, this is my environment. You see what I mean? Just put your head up, be confident, because you can do it. So this is just to give you a little bit of motivation. I'm gonna put all the resources down below, all the books, the links to websites that I did find helpful, both when I took my theory and my practical. And hopefully this video is going to be helpful for someone out there. If you are a key worker and are due to take your driving test and you're not sure of what to do, just message me. I'll be able to give you some tips and I'll be able to help and share your experience. I hope you found this video useful. Please don't forget to give it a thumbs up if you have, share, subscribe to my channel. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, aquia_Liz, and I will see you next time.